a warm welcome to all. So today we are going to discuss our very important part as part of the morphology topic, that is co-evolution of flower and pollinators. Okay, so we studied how the flower evolved. So flower evolved, there are different theories regarding the evolution of flower and what are the characters of primitive flower. So from primitive flower, how advanced flowers evolved, that all we studied. Okay, now we are going to discuss the co-evolution of flowers and pollinators. You know, flowers and pollinators, when you think, then keeping on both sides, flowers and pollinators, what are the connections between them? So without pollinators, there is actually nothing. So we cannot live without pollinators. There are 5 very important B, capital letter B, you have to remember. What are they? Butterflies, birds, bees, bats and beetles. Clear? This is very important. This 5 B is very important for maintenance of life on earth. Otherwise, no life possible. Why? Because without pollination, no fruits develops. Without fruits, actually no seeds. Then no rejuvenation or germination. So plants will not be there in the earth. Without plants, we cannot live. So that is the connection between these 5 B's and life. So here we are going to discuss co-evolution of flower and pollinators. So for that, you have to know what is co-evolution. So co-evolution is the evolution of at least 2 species which occur in mutually dependent manner. Understood? So 2 species, for example, grasses and cow, they are the 2 species. They are mutually dependent. How they are dependent? Cow need grass. So there are some the cow dungs or animal waste, etc. are the nutrients for the grasses. That's a simple example. But in this context, you have to study the examples like for the bees, honey bees and flowers, orchids and bees. So the change occur in one may also cause change in the another, and thereby it will move to a track and finally adapted to the particular condition. So the co-evolution means 2 species which are mutually dependent in manner. So evolution takes place. It was first described in the context of insects as well as flowering plants. And numerous studies you can see by the interactions between the insects and the flowers. Okay, and there are here it is very important, it needed 2 species. Now this concept was first developed by Darwin in 1862. You know who is Darwin? Okay, and he is used to usually explain the pollinators and the food rewarding flowers. So flowers are the store of food for what? Pollinators. That's why they are coming to visit the flowers, and accidentally they are carrying out the some of the pollen grains and everything together with its fly. Okay, so there are specialized mutualism. Sometimes, for example, some flowers having nectars inside it, but when a bird or an insect visits, it is if it feels difficult to get the honey or nectar, what happens? It needs some structures, long tongues or proboscis, deep tubes, etc. So gradually they develop this. So what happens? 2 changes. Sometimes a flower may develop long corolla or tube or like that, or it may become broadened. And the birds or the insects may develop long proboscis or tongue. Both may happen. So there exist some changes in both the species, and they evolved in time and they become a newly adapted one. That is co-evolution. Clear? So Darwin predicted that by keeping one very good example of orchid, that is Angraecum sesquipedale. That is a long spurred orchid. You know what is a orchid? Spur. So this is a Madagascar orchid, that spur having 30 centimeter length, long spur, and it is pollinated by hawk moths. Moths are the pollinators. Okay, so how this pollination take place? So when the flower is, you can see the picture, that is the pollination. When the flower is having long tube, what happens? This moth cannot enter inside it, and it need long proboscis to enter. But what happens when it is very short? What happens? It cannot enter inside. So there are two cases. So what happens is actually longer tubes are selected. Longer tubes are selected and its proboscis also long. So that is the Darwin's mechanistic model of plant pollinator co-evolution. This is a very good example usually used for explaining co-evolution. Okay. Now, this is the plant. These are the green colored spur. The spur is approximately 30 centimeter long. This orchid, and that spur having nectar spurs. And this is the proboscis of the hawk moth. See, long proboscis by which it absorbs the nectar. Clear? So, for sucking nectar, this develop long proboscis. For getting the nectar release easier, its spur is also long. So, likewise they evolved mutually. Okay. So, co-evolution also results in adaptations for mutual benefit. For mutual, that we saw here. Okay. So, actually what is that? Make the best of where they live. Make the best of where they live. Eating, living or building partnership. Make the best. So, up to that changes will going on. Clear? So, another co-evolution is bees are there, birds are there, insects are there. These are all very good examples for co-evolution. They are taking place together with the flowers. Clear? Okay. Now, what are the features of co-evolution? So, there are some conditions or some special features for co-evolution. What are they? It may not be closely related. The two species may not be closely related each other. They need some mutualistic or some dependency, but they are not the same species. For example, bees are different species, flower is different. Likewise, okay. And they may not have a common ancestor. That's also very important. They derived from different ancestors. And they are taxon living in same geographical area. That is also very important. So, for a long time, they have to live in the same geographical area. Then only this co-evolution will take place. And they may not have an evolution of similar traits. Okay. So, these are the special features required for co-evolution. Now, how this taking place? There are three different ways. One is predator-prey, that predator-parasite, or anyway, the predator-pair relationship that may be a co-evolution, may lead to co-evolution. Competitive, for getting food, for fighting for food items, for two different species. Then mutualistic. These are all the different ways for co-evolution. And in this mutualistic, usually they are mutualistic or dependent each other, both having some benefits. So, maybe otherwise some benefits to only one. Maybe benefits to flower or maybe benefits to pollinator. Okay. Moth and orchid is another very good example. Orchid and moth relationship. So, actually moth visits orchid for what? For collecting nectar. Clear? And for food, it's food. But orchids mainly it's for pollination. So, both are here benefited. Clear? Okay. Now, so predator-prey relationship is most common example. Here there is a selective pressure in the prey to avoid a capture. Okay. So, prey never allow its enemy predator to capture it. The predator must evolve to become more effective hunter. So, predator will become more adapted to hunt the prey. So, both are changing their own or they are undergoing evolution. So, predator will try for getting the prey. Similarly, prey will make modifications to avoid capture. So, both are here involving. That is predator-pair relationship. Grasshopper and grass. When we sitting on the grass, you cannot identify a grasshopper usually. Clear? Now, so flowering plants and pollinators, great examples of beneficial co-evolution is relationship between flowering plants and insects. Okay, insects and birds, they are the beneficial co-evolution. See, this flower came here to take nectar from the plant. Then pollinators are developed co-adaptations. So, both develop co-adaptations that allow flowers to attract pollinators and insects, and they extract nectar from the plants. So, flower is also, some of the Fabaceae plants, flowers are butterfly-like. So, that attracts insects. So, they both develop some special features. Clear? Okay, next. See how beautifully nature arranged this coevolution. See this, you can see here the arrangement of this corolla and its beak similarity. See, so there is a clear bend here. See, so I will show you. See here, there is a clear bend moving down. This is the bend. Okay, so like here also in this bird the bend is there. See, so both are this one and this one. Oh, how they are beautifully arranged. So that's a very good example. So another one, see here. So this flower with a long corolla tube, and this bird have to take nectar. So it's, see how it stand in the air with the wings and sees long beak that enter inside, just touching the nectar. Sometimes what happens is, while seeing this, some birds also attract these flowers and they try to take nectar, but they can't. So what they do is, this is usually located here, somewhat here, this nectar disc. So they will create holes here, and by taking its, by its beak they will take out. So likewise some evolutionary changes going on in both, and that process is going on. Clear? Now next. So coevolution of pollination, flowers and bees are very important, that occurred millions of years back. Okay, so there is a mutual relationship between bee as well as the flowers. So bee mainly came to the flowers inflorescence for collecting what? Nectar or pollens, and they are get to disperse its pollen grains. So forward they collect it, and a huge number of bees visits different flowers. But there are, you have to think one point, that bees usually stick on some specific flowers at a time. For example, when they visit on these hibiscus, you just an example. So after for a 1 or 2 hour they only visits hibiscus. Then they collect this nectar or pollen and reaches its beehive and deposit there. And what is the useful, what is the advantage of this? While taking this flower pollen grains from one flower and they visit another same flower, what happens? This pollination taking place. So hibiscus from one plant, hibiscus from another plant. Likewise. So after 1 or 2 hours, same thing. See, so how this nature, this phenomenon is going on. Pollination, bee and flower relationship. If you think, when a bee visits an hibiscus, then second time he is going to visit an alamanda, what happens? No use. So it's usually not like that. They go on specific flowers at a particular time only. Then they start to collect another. This is the very important. They chew the pollen grains and they store somewhere else, and then they enter into the beehive, they vomit it out. That is a very important point. Into a waxy or some substances, vomit out, and that is a peculiar feature of the bees and pollination. Okay, so there is a mutual relationship exists for food and that is nectar. Okay, then in turn pollination takes place. So for the plant this is much more efficient. Over millions of years plants have developed flowers with increasingly specialized features. Okay, so when a bee visit and sit on the flower, so that flower need its some sitting place, like our labellum or like that in orchid. So it gradually it going on changes and taking place. So it distributes pollen grains and the plant increases the plant's reproductive capabilities. Population will increases. So that play an important role. Okay. Now, so have some examples. See how this pollen, this we sit on the Asteraceae pollen. This is the sunflower. Okay. So this is very, very important to see the structure of the flower, color of the flower, and the wings of the butterflies and bees. They are all very important. A recent study by Ramirez and colleagues examined the rate of co-diversification between neotropical orchid bee and perfume producing orchids. So that is a pollinator mutualism. See, these orchids are producing a scent or a smell that are similar to the pheromones or sent by the particular insect. So what happens? So insect think it is the its partner. So it will attract and visit the flower, orchid flower. So what happens? Its pollination will take place. So these are happening in the nature. Okay. So in this system, male bees gather fragrance and from orchid and use them to attract females for mating. So this is happening in nature. Okay. Now bee or flowers, which came first? That's a question. Okay, bee or flower, which came first? Like egg or the hen, which came first? So likewise, this is also a question. So how can you answer it? 300 million years ago, no flowers are there in that, but plenty of insects, but no bees. So that time flowers are there, but these flowers, plants are there, but flowers originated in a, all of a sudden, according to Darwin, he says it is an abominable mystery, that origin of flower in the earth. And 150 million years ago only, magnolia flowers existed. And magnolia is pollinated only by beetle. We studied the primitive family Magnoliaceae. So these flowers are usually not that much colored. They are pollinated by beetle only. See, so but recent studies and evolutionary history revealed that bees are usually derived from wasp. You know what is wasp? This is the wasp, and this is the bee, and this is the wasp. Clear? So you know how they are evolved. Okay, see. So this is the wasp and this is the bee. See, both some structural similarities are there, but great difference is there. So wasp usually take off insects, non-veg items. That is the food for wasp. But bees like vegetarian. Bees need nectars, honey, pollen, etc. So now it is saying that wasp is actually wasp become bee. How wasp become vegetarian and become bee? So bees are vegetarian wasp. Okay, how this taken place? So when the time or evolution it's going on, that time only white colored flowers and beetles and other insects only. So when it happens is these wasp collect a huge amount of insects, dead particles, etc. and deposit in its cage. So that time flowers started blooming, colored flowers. So these wasp once when visited on the flowers, they got this sugary substance and they tried to taste it. Then they started to collect it. So likewise, it became vegetarian. We can say like that. Then that evolution is going on. That time many flowers came. Then these flowers are attracted by bees, and later it is rapidly multiplied, and likewise bees also originated. Then 3 traits that flowering plants evolved to attract pollinators. What are the 3 important traits a flowering plant required to attract pollinators? First one is distinct visual cues. So once when you look at a man or a lady, so your attention, so a gathering 10 or 15 ladies. So you will look at one particular lady or particular girl. How? That is an attraction. That attraction may be in dress or in hairstyle or something else. So likewise, you need a distinct visual cues. So they evolved bright colors, stripes, lines, patterns, and color specific to pollinator, etc. So we are attracted by flowers. So different flowers. So how this is happening? Mainly because of its variety, variegations in the pattern of petals, sepals, stamens, whatever it may. That is the first one. Example, you can see when the flower is attracted by insects, usually they are blue and ultraviolet in colors. But birds, the flowers may be red and orange. You just think when you observe your garden, you can see that most of the flowers, Camellia flowers, Ixora flowers, hibiscus flowers, these are all attracted by birds. See, when you look at Crotalaria flower, then this Lantana, some flowers, they are attracted only by that Clitoria flowers, Thunbergia flowers, Thunbergia alata, grandiflora in our garden is there in campus. You may be noticed that. That flower is usually attracted by beetles or birds. That is the case. So colors are very important thing. Second one is, so it's these colors and how birds attracts. So these are not specific but general thinking. Okay. Then flowers, another important one is flowering plant uses scent as a mean of attracting insects. They releases perfumes. Then in your jasmine, rose, etc. Jamanti likewise. So that are stronger. So insects able to hone in and land on that plant to extract its nectar. So scent is a second important. So attraction, that is color, strips, scent, etc. Then that is the second one. Then third one is that some flowers use chemical and tactile means to mimic female insect species to attract male species. So that we explained an orchid, mimicry, you know what is mimicry. So example is orchids. Orchids secrete a chemical that is same as that of pheromones of the bee and wasp. So when male insect land on the flower and attempts to copulate, male insect come and attempt to copulate, pollen is transferred to him. So male insect think that this is the female insect, but actually what it is the orchid flower. So they come and try to copulate, and that time they transfer, pollen grains are transferred to it. So I will show you a video of this phenomenon. Okay. Then another example is see how birds taking the nectars. So hummingbirds are very important in this category. Usually you know hummingbirds. That has co-evolved for mutual benefits. Flowers, shape, tube, etc. Okay. Flowers supply the birds nutrient nectar. That is why they try to change its beak and its length and everything. Okay. So usually have certain colors they are attracted. That flowers will bloom only when that is a season of breeding of hummingbirds. So flower blooming and breeding of hummingbirds are related. Clear? Now, then you know these are all some of the historical background. By keeping that, we are discussing the co-evolution of flower and pollinators. So there is no fossil record to discuss the origin of bees and the relationship. So usually it might have arisen in the mid-Cretaceous period, that is about 140 million years ago. Okay. Then the diversification when it is, that is now till unclear. Okay. So these are the co-evolution of pollinators and flowers. So in this chapter you have to study, define co-evolution, what are the features of co-evolution, when co-evolution takes place, then what are some of the examples. You have to study the Darwin's example, mutualistic mechanistic model of co-evolution, that is hawk moth and orchid, and also you have to study some more examples of bees, wasp, pollinators, and so the features, what are the adaptations that they are developing, etc. You have to study in this small portion. Okay. So I hope you understood well, and you have to watch supporting videos that I will give you the link also. Clear? Okay. Thank you very much.